Of course it's going Game 7. What else did we expect? And well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Wa2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. If you're brand new, welcome aboard. Please like and subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back. I appreciate the support. So, it just went final. The New York Rangers win Game 6 in this first round series against New Jersey, staving off elimination at Madison Square Garden, setting up a decisive and not surprising 7th game showdown at the Prudential Center Monday night in Newark, New Jersey. So here's how I'm really feeling at this point. If this series didn't go 7 games, it wouldn't be the New York Rangers. The Rangers never, ever do things the easy way. They always have to make it more difficult than it has to be. Now, I know the Carolina Hurricanes have got to be thrilled right now because the Rangers and Devils are going to beat the crap out of each other on Monday while they get to rest after disposing of the Islanders in 6 games. So here's how I'm really feeling right now, and kind of how I've been feeling over the last couple of days. I feel like more of my emotion has been going towards the Knicks, which is surprising because I've always been a bigger hockey fan than I have been basketball fan. But after the Rangers absolutely no-show Game 4 at the Garden, I was absolutely disgusted with them. You know, giving up, and then in Game 5, giving up a goal inside the first minute twice, and then both Game 4 and Game 5 were absolute jokes. They weren't even close. Even though the Rangers played good defense in Game 3 and Game 4, you know, the offense absolutely no-showed for 3 straight games, as did the power play. Well, Game 6, I got to admit, after suffering a pretty severe allergy attack after being around a couple of dogs earlier today, yeah, I came home and slept for about 2.5, 3 hours. I woke up just in time for the opening face-off and Johnbrancy's national anthem. Oh my gosh. That opening note, it was absolutely dynamite. I will say this. I never thought in my life I would hear a better national anthem singer than Jim Cornelison, you know, who does the anthem for the Chicago Blackhawks. But Johnbrancy is right there with him. He is that good. And I was worried that Brancy would show up more than any other player on the ice for the Rangers, especially early on after Kale Lazar scores, you know, about 9 minutes into the game. It gives the Devils a 1-0 lead. I was absolutely terrified. I think the Garden, that's the thing with the Garden crowd. When they're loud, they are amazingly loud. But when things aren't going well, it becomes like a graveyard. It becomes just so eerily quiet. Eerily is the way I would describe it. But Chris Kreider did what he did in Games 1 and Game 2. He came through on the power play. Zibanejad and Fox with the assist with 25 seconds to go in the first period. And at that point, I started to feel a whole lot better. Finally, there was like legitimate hope. The Rangers have had so much trouble solving akiraschmid, the Devils' backup to the backup goaltender. And to me, they were just not testing him. You know, you hear these analysts on ESPN and ABC and the NHL Network just brown-nosing this guy, just acting like he's, you know, Martin Brodeur, Patrick Waugh, Dominic Hasek, and Henrik Lundqvist all rolled into one. But the Rangers don't test him. You didn't see deflections. You don't see rebound opportunities. You don't see second and third chances. For 3 straight games, it was 35-foot shots from the blue line, you know, with nobody in front to screen him. And with his size, you know, he could see it easily, gobble it up, and he wouldn't give up the rebound. That was it. Schmid had been competent. I won't call him great because that would be exaggerating. He was competent. And credit to him for stepping in and doing a better job than Vitek Beneček did. But this time the Rangers really poured it on. The Rangers took a 3-1 lead in the second period. Mika Zibanejad finally scores a goal. His first goal of the series. It came in Game 6. Assist from Chris Kreider and Vladimirtarasenko. And Tarasenko would score the third goal of the game, ultimately the game winner, with assists from Kreider and Fox. That Zibanejad, Kreider, and Tarasenko line was buzzing tonight. It was working. Very glad to see that. And also in the third period, the fourth line finally got going. Barclaygoodrow scores his first goal of the series. You know, the fourth line to me had been a little bit disappointing. I felt the Rangers had as good a fourth line as any team in hockey. But up until this point, they hadn't scored a goal yet. Well, Goodrow does that. 7:23 gone in the third for a 4-1 lead. Brain Schneider, 5 minutes later, adds his first goal of the playoffs. The Devils did add one power play goal for some window dressing. Dawson Mercer for the 5-2 final. But, you know, pretty much once Tarasenko made it 3-1, I felt supremely confident the Rangers were going to win this game. You know, I didn't feel that this game was going to be close either way. I felt the Rangers were going to run away with it, or the Devils were going to get an early lead and then pour it on in the third period when the Rangers had all but, you know, thrown the towel. Hate to say it, but I didn't see overtime in this game. I didn't see a one-goal game. I felt it was going to be a decisive victory one way or another, and that's exactly what happened. So, now the Rangers do what they usually do. They are going to play a Game 7. And the Rangers have quite a history in Game 7s. I want to take a second here and just talk about how often the Rangers play these Game 7s. Now, as most folks know, the Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 1994 in 7 games, beating Vancouver 3-2. However, they did not play another Game 7 until the 2008-2009 season. It took 15 years for the team to play another Game 7. So that was a conference quarterfinal loss against Washington. Sergei Fedorov scored the only goal of the game. And to me, I never felt the Rangers were going to win that series. They gave Washington a great battle. But, yeah, they were just not that team yet. Then their next Game 7 was in the 2011-2012 campaign. Actually, they played 2 that year, beating both Ottawa and Washington in 7 games before falling short in the conference finals against New Jersey in 6. The next year, 2013, beat Washington in 7 games again before losing in the conference semis to Boston. And then came the 2013-2014 season, and what a ride that was. Beating Philadelphia in a hard-fought 7-game series, beating Pittsburgh 4-3 after trailing that series 3-1. Then they beat Montreal 4-2. That certainly helped that Dustin Tokarski was in goal for Montreal and not Carey Price. Rangers won in 6 before losing in the finals to the LA Kings in 5. And then the next year, 2015, after beating Pittsburgh in 5, they won another 7-game series over Washington. That was the famous Derek Stepan overtime goal, which was fantastic. But then came one of the biggest heartbreakers in franchise history, losing that Game 7 at home to the then upstart Tampa Bay Lightning. To me, that was as big of a no-show as I've ever seen the Rangers have in a big game. You know, for the Henrik Lundqvist run, I always thought that they would show up in a big spot. They wouldn't always win, but they would always give great effort. And to me, the Lightning looked twice as fast that night. You know, I felt the Rangers just had nothing left to give, and it was just... I was waiting for a run to come that entire game, and it never came. So that Game 7 MSG loss, I believe it was actually the first the Rangers had ever lost a Game 7 at MSG. That was an absolute heartbreaker. The next Game 7 after that, you have to go all the way to last season. You know, when the 2 that the Rangers won last year, beating Pittsburgh, Artemi Panarin scoring the overtime game winner against the Penguins on the power play, and of course the Game 7 second-round victory in Raleigh, North Carolina, which I was blessed enough to be at, when the Rangers ran the Hurricanes right out of PNC Arena and advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. So the Rangers franchise, at least, is no stranger to Game 7, and they're going to play another one Monday night against New Jersey. What's going to happen? Who's to say? This series has been so unpredictable. I mean, who would have thought that the road team would have won the first 4 games and the home team would have won the next 2? Now, the Devils did pull akiraschmid in this game. I don't necessarily think he was terrible in this game. I fully expect him to be starting Game 7. I think Lindy Ruff just wanted to get him out of the game, give him a chance to reset his mind before the game happens on Monday. I will say this. I'm glad there's only 1 day off and not 2. I think that plays into the Rangers' favor. But I'll tell you what. the one thing that still scares me about the Rangers. Of course, I'm going to be excited for the game. I want them to do well. I want to go back to Raleigh again and root my team on in the playoffs. But one thing we have learned from the Rangers, again, they don't have the killer instinct. The New York Knicks, they showed they have the killer instinct when they took Cleveland out in 5 games. They didn't even let that series come back to MSG. That's exactly what the Rangers didn't do. And too many times over the last 30 years, really 20 years, since the Rangers started making the playoffs again, in the mid-2000s, 2006, 7, right in that era. Too many occasions the Rangers have let an opponent hang around, let the series extend, and it has worn them out for the conference finals or for the finals. So that is my real concern. I hope the Rangers are realizing what has to be done in order to win 16 games. I've seen the Rangers make the playoffs so many times. I've seen them get to the conference finals. I've seen them get to the finals. I want to win a championship for the first time in almost 30 years. I've seen them do everything else, and I'll tell you right now, with all that has been invested in this team, all the trades that were made, all the prospects that were drafted, all the veterans that were signed to long-term contracts, the coach who was brought in who has a very good resume, this is a huge opportunity. We've seen, Boston, the best regular NHL season team we've seen in forever. They got to play a Game 7 against the upstart Florida Panthers. How many people before this series thought this would go 7 games? Anything can happen in a given series, but the Rangers have got to put their foot on the throat of the opponent when they have the opportunity. They didn't do it. They stayed alive. They're giving us the tease as they always do. I'm not going to be surprised if they win Game 7. But I'll tell you what, I still very much question if this is a team that is capable of winning all 16 games that it takes to win the Stanley Cup. Well, those are my thoughts. I want to see yours in the comments. Who's going to win Game 7? Will it be the Rangers? Will it be the Devils? I'll be back on. I'll be recording Monday night after this. I'm sure I'll be very calm and very rational, because what else would I be? Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate your support. I'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.